Hi, and welcome to episode 9 of the Flying Yak podcast. Today is Friday, July 22nd, 2016. I'm your host, Chantal Perut, and you can find me on Instagram at _flying_yak. This week, I didn't finish a single sleeve. I don't know if you remember from last week, I was saying that I had a lot of sleeve knitting to do, and I still have a lot of sleeve knitting to do. I don't know, I'm not in a sweater knitting mood. I'm in a very shawly mood, and I have all these sweaters which account for so much yardage per stash dash, and I just haven't touched them. So also I'm in the midst of moving. As you can see, we now have a blank, final destination wall of death behind me. I put up a sock because it's the only FO I have this week, and it just was like mind-numbing dots. I'm gonna move this to be a little less ghetto lamp. But yeah, right now we're in the midst of moving, so our house is a little chaotic, and I haven't gotten as much knitting or moving as I wanted to get done this week. So I'm a little bit of knitting shame. I felt like I hadn't done anything compared to last week, and then I realized last week's episode was like 3 weeks worth of episodes, so I don't feel too bad. And this, now you'll only see like 4 FOs, or 4 whips instead of like 8. I don't know how many I had last week. I had to remove a lot from the show notes because I didn't work on them. I just kind of left them on the coffee table where I'd put them last week. And then I stopped. I'm not in this sweater mood. I hate sleeves. People complain about like second sock syndrome, where you just knit one sock. I kind of have second sock syndrome, but not that much. I enjoy socks, so I always finish the second one. I love wearing hand-knit socks. And I like it when they match, so I do finish socks. But sleeves take so much longer than socks. Like, I'm sure if you gave me math, like, there's actually less stitches in a sleeve than a sock, and you don't need to turn a heel and do a gusset, and it's just straight. But, like, it's mindless enough, but then you still need to pay attention so that every 13 rows you decrease. Or like, so you kind of need to focus, and you need to flip the whole sweater on your lap all the time, or knit like really crooked. Sleeves aren't my jam, but I really like sweaters. I'm gonna finish them. I'm gonna give myself a push in the butt. I have a 6-hour plane ride coming up next Wednesday. We're leaving on Wednesday. 5 days. So yeah, I have a 5-hour plane ride coming up where I'm gonna get a lot of knitting done, hopefully. Hopefully it won't be on shawls. But let's start this. Let's talk about some whips. I'm still working on my dotted right. I took it out of the bag right before starting and came to the end of a row so that I can seem like a professional podcaster. This is a Stephen West pattern. There's a large knit along going on right now on the internet. People are obsessed. I'm obsessed. I'm in the group of people who can't not knit Stephen West shawls. It's probably too late now, but he put a bunch of whips on his Ravelry. You can see them on his Instagram, but on his Ravelry page, he has a bunch of whips for sale that are just like unfinished Stephen West products. They're like 100 to 200 euros a pop though, so I just like didn't need it. But I did browse. So it's worked in wedges, and I am pretty much done. I'm like the yellow or the gray line after the yellow is where you were supposed to stop. So it's quite big. It's big. It's on a tight needle, so it's a little scrunched. It's probably like double this width. But the line after the yellow was where I was supposed to bind off. But I had a bunch left of colors, so I'm just working like one row of garter, one garter ridge of each color, so two rows. Right now on the pink. I ran out of yellow like right at the end. So there's missing some eyelets. I just added them in. Like here you can tell that there isn't an eyelet. I just threw it. I'm okay with it. I maybe needed like 4 extra meters of yellow to finish it. It happens. So now I have a tiny bit left of each color. I'm keeping this in my Stephen and Penelope Fine Yarns bag because I'm not enough of an advocate of Stephen West as it is. So I will take out all the little itty bitty balls I have left. So I don't know how to display these. This is what I have left. 6 colors. I have about, just to give you an idea of how much they weigh, there's about 5 grams of, this blue here is about 5 grams. I think this purple is about 15, 18. So I'm thinking of making a large enough. It's using 3 or 4 grams to make 1 garter ridge. So I have enough to make several more. I'm thinking like 30 garter ridges, or until I just want to die. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7.5. So I'm about a quarter of the way done. It's just really bland, straight knitting with an I-cord edging and several ends to weave in. I'm not even sure if I'm going to weave them in. It's just a happy jellyfish. Look at all these ends. Look at all these ends. I don't know. They might be tassels. We'll see. It's almost done. I hope to finish this week and count the yardage for slash ends in like 2.5 weeks. Maybe 3. I want to finish at least 2 more sweaters. I was going for the 15K. I might end up going for the 10K. I only have 6 kilometers done, so this is probably another 800 meters. No, I used 7 skeins of fingering, so yeah, just under 800 meters. So that's another kilometer done, almost, and then we're moving on to our next whip. I'll just start talking about that. I started another shawl because I can't finish sweaters for the life of me. I haven't gotten much work on it. I've tried not to work on it because I know I'm not going to finish it before the end of Stash Dash, so I'm avoiding using my knitting time on it. It is from the Stephen West Yarn Along, the like order yarn in advance without knowing the color or pattern or anything. But I was down. So this is it so far. It's kind of a similar construction to the dotted array, but like not at all. So it is called, what is it called? The Sedimentary. So this is a picture of Stephen West wearing the shawl. There you go. As you can tell, I switched out the orange and the gray, so the gray is going to be the main color, and the mesh is going to be the orange. So we'll see. I'm more of a gray person, so I wanted the color that's close to my face to be the gray, especially because I tend to stuff my shawls into my coat. So you can't really see the edges, and I think orange next to my face would be a little too much. I caked up both skeins. I've gotten into the habit of like weighing skeins beforehand now because I had like 112 grams for 100 grams with a hedgehog skein recently. These are 101, this one's 101, this one's 103. So at least now I know from the get-go exactly how much yarn I'm working with. They're from Walk Collection, which is a German yarn company I've never actually knit from. This one is called Tapestry, and this one's called Raku. They're just custom dyed for this yarn along with Stephen West. So this one it's mostly orange with a lot of blips. There's some darker blips which are really nice. Like there's a little navy, some red, and this one is mostly gray silver with little peach. Like right here. Ooh, you can see there's peach and it's really nice. I really like this yarn. Like they can sell it. I think it's a year after the yarn along is over. I'd probably buy a sweater's worth of this, honestly. It's so nice. The yarn is very limp. It's a lace weight. It's 1,600 meters total between them, I think. So 800 meters for 100 grams, and I've been finding it very, very drapey. So it's 100% superwash merino. I've never worked with it. We'll see once I'm further in. I just have like 3 hours of knitting done. I've been working on other things. Not sweaters, but other things. Like, I got a lot of work done on my dotted arrays. So, that's that. That's the other Stephen West shawl I'm working on. This is in granny bag, my go-to bag. It's from the Fat Squirrel. There's a granny. There are several grannies. If you want this fabric, I spent about a week hunting for it after she had an update and I missed it. It's on Spoonflower. This is the decorator weight fabric. It has potatoes. And then she had another update and I totally bought it. But I want a dress out of this fabric. It comes in a large and a small print. But if you want it, Spoonflower. Spoonflower, I'm just gonna add a little advertisement. Spoonflower.com sells fabric that are like custom designed by designers, and then designers upload their designs, and then you can search through them and the designer of the fabric gets a cut. So it's really good for like indie fabric designers. Oh, I put it on the wrong side. Okay, yeah, like indie fabric designers, and they get a cut, and they have like 20 different base fabrics that you can print them on, like from quilters cotton to decorators linen to like spandex. And it's really fun. I enjoy it. It was, yeah. I've bought fabric from them. The quilt is really far away. I finished a quilt. I finished a quilt this week. Or last week. While my mom was here, I took advantage of her being in town, and it's super cute. But it's all the way over there. If you go on Instagram, there's a picture of my quilt. So I would recommend checking it out there. It's very cute. I made it for my boyfriend. It's a Christmas present. I just finished it. I couldn't figure out how to miter the corners without my mother. So it was lucky for my boyfriend that she came to town. Yes. Next, scrappy mittens. Okay, this is number 2. I started, there's a tapestry needle. I started a sock like this earlier in the week. So there was this purple yarn is Nicole C. Mendez and her mini skeins. And then the blue fun patterny yarn is Arne Carlos from Regia. And I don't have that much of it, so I have about this much left. So I didn't have enough to make socks, but I'd already started a sock, and I don't rip things out. So I made a mitten! I used my sock pattern regularly, and then I realized how I had 20 grams of yarn instead of the 40 I imagined the yarn weighed. So I only had enough for one sock. So I decided to make one mitten, and hopefully a second mitten of the exact same size. But, yeah, it's a scrappy mitten. It's from mini skeins and some leftover sock yarn. I already have a pair of socks in this pattern because this is the leftovers, and I don't know where they are. But look at this thumb. It fits really well. So there's no pattern to this madness. If anyone's interested, just, like, PM me on Ravelry. Or just comment on YouTube. And just say, like, I'm interested. But there's a little picot bind off. Picot bind offs make everything adorable. It was a little manly looking, even though there's a pink thumb. It was a little manly, so I added a little picot. Especially because I don't like super stretchy bind offs, like Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off for ribbing. I think it looks like ruffles. So I decided to embrace some picot on that. I'm very pleased. And I finished it. I even put a thumb. This is actually, I think, the first mitten I finished in 4 or 5 years. I'm not a mitten knitter, but I made a sock. It's a little roomy up here. There's some space, but I don't mind. It's fun. It's very cute. So I have the first one done, and I have the second one going. And when I'd finished right here, I finished exactly one repeat of the fabric of the mitten. So they were, except plus 2 rows. So they were going to be matched, but off by 2 rows, so I ripped out a little bit of yarn so they don't match at all. So I roll. Ta-da! I'm really looking forward to these. I want some mittens for, like... And I think because it's Regia, they're going to hold up really well. They might not be the warmest mittens, but there's nylon in them, so there's not going to be holes too quickly. They're not fancy mittens where you can use your iPhone. Oh, actually, top secret, fun iPhone bit. I put a hole so I can use my iPhone. I forgot that I'd done that. everybody should put a hole. You just bind off 4 stitches and then cast on 4 stitches on the next row for your iPhone. And it's not too much of a breach for the warmth. But I finished one. All the non-regia bits on it are Nicole C. Mendez. I don't know if she has a company name. I know she's Nicole C. Mendez on Instagram, and that's what it says on the yarn, so I'm just gonna assume that's the company name. There's a little bit of self-striping as well. But Nicole C. Mendez, I recommend it. I was a part of her mini skein group for 3 months, and I probably would resubscribe if I needed more. Like, I don't need a bunch of mini skeins right now. I'm kind of stocked. I have a lot. But if I need more, I will definitely sign up again. Yeah, mittens. I think everybody needs a pair of scrappy mittens. Yeah. Alrighty. So this is in my bathing cat bag that carries around literally everything. There's a bunch of tiny mini skeins for the mittens. Next up is the only sweater I worked on this week. I had plans. I had 4 sweaters last week, I think. I had way too many sweaters when I showed you all last week. I worked a little bit on all of them, but now I'm gonna get my rear into gear and try and I want to at least finish one other sweater this week. So to have 2 finished sweaters. This sweater you're never gonna see again because I'm hopefully gonna get it out of the house tomorrow. So this is HAUGUR'S sweater, my boyfriend's uncle, and he gave it to me at New Year's, and I still haven't finished fixing it. So there were holes in the sleeves, and he asked me to replace them. So this is the yoke. It's just a traditional Icelandic sweater. It's about a 40-year-old sweater. So this was sleeve A, which I replaced promptly, and then I never touched it again. So I finished. The cuff is doubled because the ribbing was really worn out. So I still haven't tacked it down, but I'm gonna fold it over and tack it down to make a really nice bulky cuff. So that lasts a little bit longer. And started sleeve 2 this morning. I got coffee, and I got a lot of work done actually. I'm very, very pleased. So you can kind of tell where it starts. Like it starts right here. You can see it. I can see it anyways. I'll try putting it closer. It's black on black on black on black. But right here is the row where it starts. And then I put 3 rows of the new yarn, and I unraveled 3 rows of the old yarn, and then started with the new yarn. It kind of worked. There's some fluff. It's a little, like, it's not, this is much, much, much softer than the new stuff. Lopi, it's made out of Lopi. It's made out of Plötulopi. So it's much softer once you wash it. I have about 3 inches left before I add the cuff, so it's speedy. I'm gonna have it done tonight, and then I'm gonna put off sewing it and just ask his wife to do it. No, I'm gonna do it myself. I'm gonna actually get my butt into gear and give this man a sweater, because it's been in my house for 7 months. Good thing those are mostly summer months. It's always sweater season in Iceland, but yeah, so this is almost done. I am using 2-plied Plötulopi, so the unspun Icelandic Lopi, which I think you can't get in America. I had somebody contact me to be like, can you bring me this amazing yarn? I was like, yeah, it costs like nothing. It costs $2 per plate. Nothing, I say. So I recommend using it doubled. I showed you guys last week. This, they sell it by the kilo. It's really, really cheap. It's about 4 ounces in a plate. But it's been going well. Work has been getting done. I could have finished it in about 2 days, but I did not because I'm a bad person. I hate commission knitting. I don't think I'm ever going to do it again. I don't mind. No, I don't think I'm ever going to do it again. I just feel guilty, but then I don't do it because I just feel guilty. So that's that. It will get done. It'll be done tonight. I'm gonna sit down and watch something useless. There's a new podcast that I found, which if you like my podcast, which I'm not gonna question your taste, But if you like my podcast, I found a podcast called Once Upon a Corgi that's been going for about a year and a half. And it's very cute, and there are corgis. And she pretty much likes the exact same colors as me. So I would recommend it. I can't remember the name of the girl who runs it. I know that her dog is called Audrey Beyonce Hepburn, which is amazing. So I would recommend that podcast, which is what I'm going to be doing tonight while I finish this roba pesa. Finally, the last whip, or like half finished object, is this sock. Look at it go. There's a slip stitch pattern. I don't know if this is an actual Ravelry pattern. I just pulled it out of my brain. It was super pooly. I was really disappointed in this yarn because it pulled like the dickens. But I also made the slip stitches decreased on the toe. So it makes like, wait, I'll turn it. Makes a fun pyramid. I really enjoyed working on this. I cast it on Wednesday night, and then I finished it Thursday night. So, and that's Friday. But just a regular sock with slip stitches, just for the pulling. I hate pulling. Like these stripes here where it goes like brown and then yellow and then brown and like yellow brown. I can't stand that. If I buy a variegated yarn, I want it to be variegated. Like even in the ribbing, it was pulling really intensely. I'm not, like, it's all brown on this side, brown and purple. Yellow! Not a fan. I think in the slip stitch pattern it was much, much, much better. And in the heel it looks wonderful, so I'd recommend using this yarn to work back and forth. Like, I made an Eye of Partridge heel, and, okay, it's not working on the blocker anymore. And a box heel. So just the regular, I think it's like a German square heel. I've explained it before. It's my usual heel. Not for my own socks, but for Kathleen socks. Box heel, or square heel. I should Google it and find out what it's called. But I highly recommend it. It's really fun. This yarn was amazing to work with. I have the yarn tag. Because I keep these things. Oh no, I didn't bring yarn over. Just remember. It's from Zen Garden. I got it at my LYS. I've never worked on it with it before. ZenYarnGarden.com. There we go. And it is in the colorway Sand Dunes. And it's really cool because they say what it coordinates with, and I held it next to the colors they say it coordinates with, and it totally did. It was genius. So it's 90% superwash merino and 10% nylon. Regular sock yarn. Super fine fingering. That sounds so dumb. I still giggle. Yeah, it is the smushiest sock yarn that's like plied that I've ever knit with. It's lightly plied, but it still feels like it's gonna hold up to like everything. It's so smushy. It's outstanding. I really love this yarn. Like these are for my boyfriend because he said he wanted Zelda socks, and this is the most Zelda color themed yarn I could find. It's super Zelda-y. Like, it looks like we're in a forest. But because he needs Zelda socks to go outdoors and play Pokemon Go. But no, I'm like, I need to find more of this yarn. I hope they're based in America so I can buy it in Canada and I don't need to stock up before I leave. But very cute yarn. Huge fan. Super smushy. I would normally put more ribbing. I got lazy. I put 12 rows. Normally 18 is my... I hate ribbing. And I was so excited to see how this yarn would knit up. And then I pulled and I restarted the sock like 6 times. Like, I made the first inch 6 times. The first time I just did it plain and then it didn't work. The second time I did like an Eye of Partridge pattern, but then I realized I'm really bad at reading slip stitches and I couldn't tell what it was. Then I did the Hermione's Everyday sock, which always looks bad when you only knit an inch of it and you always just like rip back, but it always looks good once you have the full cuff. But I wasn't feeling it, so I just made my own like knit 2, yarn around twice, knit 1, knit 1. And then you undo the yarn around so you have an extra long loop so it doesn't pucker. You just knit 3 rows, and then you slip them. Then you knit 1 row normal. If you actually want a chart for it, let me know. It's pretty simple. I really enjoy it. It's really breaking up the pooling. It's nice. I haven't started the second sock. I made one sock in like 24 hours, and I was like, wow, sock knitting, done. Yeah. So this is, this one more whip. I'm using the exact same yarn. This is the skein of Zen Garden. The sand dudes. It's super smushy. Like, it's so plump. I thought it was a sport weight yarn. Like, I was sure it was a sport weight. It's. Do I have another sock yarn? I do. I'm gonna pull out another sock yarn to compare them like side by side because it's so amazing. I was sure it was really, really heavy and it might even be a DK, but this is Peyton's Croy, which is a pretty standard sock yarn. I'm gonna lay them next to each other. Look at that. Okay, you can't really see. But the brown one is thicker, considerably thicker. Like if I were to like wraps per inch it, this one, the blue one might be like 19 and then this one would be like 16. It's super smushy. That's the moral of that story. But buy it. Buy it. So I paid a lot of money for it because Icelandic yarn prices are insane. But yes, so I realized I took down my wall today. And it took me almost 2 hours to sort through all my yarn. I'm not going to be bringing all my yarn with me because I have a lot of yarn that's been in the stash for like 2 or 3 years, and I know I'm not going to touch it because it's in colors that I don't like anymore. I used to only knit with brown, and now I'm much more color oriented, so I kind of am getting rid of a lot of Lopi too that I just don't need. So I found that I have a lot of fingering weight, like 20 grams of fingering weight. So I started knitting a cozy memory blanket. Cozy memory blanket. I've been seeing them all over Instagram for the past like 2 years, and I wanted to cast one on, but I already had a hexapuff blanket. Don't knit the hexapuff blanket. Nobody should knit the hexapuff blanket. It's adorable, but it's literally the biggest pain in the ass. They're in the bum. They're so finicky, like unbearable. And it takes like 45 minutes to knit one puff, and they're like 2 inches across. They're so small. They're useless. They're so fun. And then I've been, like, I have about 100 and something, maybe, hexapuffs in my life, and I have no idea how to put them together. I don't like the, like, knotted only on the corners technique, and I've tried crocheting them and it looks dumb. I might end up doing a mattress stitch, but because I had one blanket on the needles that was already scrap fingering weight, I just told myself, like, don't put a second one. You can't start a second one until you finish the hexapuffs, because I was never going to finish the hexapuffs. And I'm about 20% done the hexapuffs, and I'm just like, you know what? No one needs a hexapuff blanket. So I'm going to take the hexapuffs I already have and make a pillow. That's it. I don't need that many hexapuffs. I hate hexapuffs. They're so cute. They're stinking cute, but I'm not that type of person. I'm not a hexapuff person. So I started a new blanket. Oh my god. So you may be thinking, hey Chantal, you should know that it's knit modularly and you just pick up. I know this. I just needed to count for stash dash. So I'm gonna like knit these two together and then whoop, whoop, pick one up like that so they're incorporated in the blanket. Yeah, that's gonna be my game plan. But I have 2 done. I just started like this afternoon after emptying my yarn wall. This is from Nicole C. Mendez. This is, I think, Alegria from Manos del Uruguay. I had like 6 grams left of yarn that I used for heels and toes and a hat. So it's a cozy memory. I traded the hat for a hoodie. It's a good hoodie. It's not this hoodie. It's the exact same hoodie in black. I love hoodies. But I love this yarn. It's such dumb colors. It reminds me of a carpet in like an airport. Ooh, cute. But I've made 2. And the half. So they're just mitered garter squares. They're beautiful. I'm really enjoying working on these. They are so much fun. They're super smushy. Super smushy. They're so squishy. And it's one thickness, so yeah, I think they're gonna go really well together. I'm really excited. Some people like fun patterns with them. Like some people have them all pointed in the same direction and it's cute, but some people like make them so that all of the lines make diamonds. How are people such good crafters? Like, I think I want that. The lady from Little Bob and Knits has one that's like a cool design. She posts it all the time on Instagram. She's almost done. She's like, it's like 16 by 18 squares, which is like 400, 350 squares, math number of squares. I don't know that mine's gonna be that big. It's probably gonna be a couch blanket. But what's great about it is it's a blanket like as soon as you start. Yeah. So I really enjoyed how this one is knitting up back and forth. I wanted to see if it would pull, and it doesn't. It's really nice. So I'm knitting mine on 3mm needles because that makes me feel like I'm cheating because it's meant to be knit on 2.75. So that extra 1/4 millimeter is going to change my life. So it's made on US 2s. I think I'm using 2.5s. Screw the system, am I right? Yeah. I'm really enjoying it. They're adorable. They're not sweater knitting. That's why I'm starting. You could be like, oh, didn't you only have 3 inches left on your sleeve? And then, couldn't you have done that in the time you made 2.5 squares? I really could have. But I didn't. I'm a bad knitting adult. So this is what I'm gonna work on, probably. I don't want to finish that many squares because I can only add in non-attached squares at the corners. But I wanted to start it to see how it would look, to see if I wanted to save all this like 10 grams of sock yarn that I have. Turns out I do, so that was fun. Stash it. I don't have any spinning. I took apart my spinning wheel and I sent it to my new apartment with my mom. So she brought my spinning wheel and like all my fiber except for what's under my couch, because there's fiber everywhere in my house. And I lost that, and I found it today while packing. But, so yeah, she brought everything except, she brought my spinning wheel and a bunch of yarn and, like, Catherine's winter coat. And then we went out and bought him a new winter coat. But, yeah, so she brought a bunch of stuff and some comic books. So that's good. So I have one less suitcase to worry about. But with the amount of books that we want to bring, books are so heavy! They're such a pain. Yeah, no spinning. And for stash adoption, I have a skein of Zen Garden. And I have a skein that I forgot to bring over because it's at the bottom of a bag of yarn that's already packed. But I will take it out to knit a cozy memory square out of. I got some Arvida Classic for more than it's worth. I know. But, yeah. I'll show you this next week when I inevitably finish a cozy memory square. It's pink. Woo! You can be surprised by it next week. I think that's it for now. I'm not guaranteeing a podcast next week. I have no way of guaranteeing that. I don't know. I will be in Canada. So there's no way of knowing if I will have the time to podcast. If so, it'll be next Saturday, because my mom's meeting us at the airport and driving us to IKEA. Thanks, Mom. So hopefully I have everything sorted out, but there's no guarantee. I might just make like a shorty one and tell you about all the sweaters I haven't finished knitting. But yeah, that's it for this week. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great week. See you on the other side of the Atlantic.